The whole point of living with discipline is to see life improve. That's why we live this way. That's the trade-off. Restriction now for progress later. But when it's taking forever and the weeks turn into months, the needle's barely moved, you can't help but question, is this even worth it? Why am I living and placing so much restriction on my life when life just feels the exact fucking same? Now, you want the benefits, of course you do, but it's when you weigh up the input of time and effort versus what you're actually seeing, the results. Do I even continue living this way? That was a question running through my head a few years ago. I had a clear vision for who I wanted to be and how I wanted my life to look, and I knew I would be able to do it. But at the rate things were moving, I started to question whether it was even worth continuing pursuing. But then I stumbled across something that completely rewired my perception and understanding of progress and how we actually achieve change. What if I told you there's a way to condense years of progress into a matter of months? And the best thing about it is you can do it as many fucking times as you want. Now, why does this even happen? Why does it take so long? Well, you've got to understand the nature of discipline. It's fucking boring. That's why it's valuable. It's guaranteed forward momentum. You think about a low interest savings account with a high street bank. It's low risk, reliable, but you're not going to get any sudden breakthroughs. It compounds over time. Eventually it turns into exponential growth, but that's way later down the line. Discipline is the exact same. It's not going to cause any rapid changes to reality because it's not stretching your identity. If you analyze a disciplined lifestyle, what you'll find is very easy tasks done over and over and over and over and over again. The only difficulty with discipline is people doing it day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. But if you look at the actual individual tasks, getting up early, making your bed, meal prepping, going to the gym, stacking habits, none of those things are stretching you. They're difficult because they're repetitive, not because they're actually difficult. So when you live this way, yes, you're proving you can stick to that kind of life, but you're just reinforcing the fact that you are just this guy. Now that builds immense self-trust, but it doesn't force or encourage real, big, quick, fast transformation, which is what you want. Discipline builds the foundation, but you don't get sudden expansion. And if you want quantum leaps in life, if you want things to change so fucking rapidly, it feels that you've got a cheat code on reality, then you need to look at something else. I'm a little bit too tall for this scene. This is more important than me. Your life can only expand to the size of the hardest thing that you've done. Our brains are wired for survival, not to succeed, not to maximize potential. That's a human thing that we've learned to use this experience for. The sole purpose of all living things, mammals, insects, plants, everything, is to survive long enough to reproduce. That's it. And because of that, we have all of these safety mechanisms and survival instincts that are deeply ingrained within us, and we don't even know necessarily that it's happened. So your subconscious mind, based on the evidence that it has from your life, determines what is safe and what is not safe. What evidence do I have of all of my experiences and all the things I've been through in life that I've proven that I can handle? Anything outside of that boundary, out here in the unknown, feels unsafe. So this imaginary limit, keyword imaginary because it's not real, becomes the comfort zone. And this is the invisible ceiling that determines how fast your life can expand. Now, if you want the fastest progress possible in life, you've got to try and get fucking out here. You've got to stretch this comfort zone as far as you possibly can and force your identity to accept that the stuff that was in the unknown now has become the unknown from me purposely pushing this comfort zone wider and wider and wider. And then the evidence that the subconscious mind has of what is safe expands. You've got to go through a process of, I didn't think I could do this, but I've proven that I can do it. That creates expansion, right? So you're widening the comfort zone. The more intense the evidence, the faster the identity changes. Slow, repeated action creates slow belief change. Now, when you're living with discipline, you're just staying within this comfort zone. Nothing is pushing you out of it. It's still very important. I don't want that to be lost in the message of what I'm saying. Living with discipline is absolutely crucial. It's the backbone to everything. But you're not getting outside of this. You're just proving to yourself you can do the things you already know you can do. You can go out the comfort zone to here, or you can go out the comfort zone to here. If you go here, all of this change happens pretty much instantaneously. There is a slight delay maybe, but you can completely break all glass ceilings that you've got in your mind of what you thought was possible about your life by getting out of this as far as you possibly can. Now, this is still good. I'm not discouraging that, but it's in your hands. What do you want? Do you want the fastest possible results? Do you want life to change? Are you unhappy with your current circumstances? Seek this. I understand my handwriting and drawings resemble that of a fucking year 7 student. Maybe that's being generous, maybe even younger. But you get the point of where I'm going with this. Now, coming back to the point of all of this being perceptual and imaginary, remember this. It's all an illusion. Anytime you do anything that takes you to the outer edges of your comfort zone, wherever it is, you start to get scared. There's fear, there's anxiety, there's worry, there's stress, because your brain is telling you it's all unknown. But it's an illusion, it's not real. Okay, you have to drill this into your mind. It's a fucking illusion. If you take one thing away from this video, this is all an illusion. And what happens is you end up retreating back into the comfort zone, listening to your brain, but the brain is being fed incorrect information. And when you keep repeating this process of getting close but then coming back down, and you do it at all different points in life with everything, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, career. Anytime you're about to get here, you're on the verge of a big breakthrough. If you could just fucking burst through, everything would change, but you end up retreating. The long-term impact of this on a lifetime is small thinking, career ambitions, relationships, financial goals, lifestyle expectations. Your brain is automatically ruling out futures that you don't believe you can achieve. But again, it's an illusion. This is not real. This is all in your mind. So the question then becomes, what expands that comfort zone the most? How do we compress years of slow progress into a much shorter time span? And the answer is physical extremism through challenge. This isn't the only way to do it. You could publicly speak in front of 1,000 people, but how are you going to do that? It's not accessible to everyone. You've got to have enough status and enough importance to warrant getting 1,000 people in a room. You can't buy a ticket to do something like that, but you can buy a ticket to an event. The clips at the start of this video was me running 100 miles. Now, I built up to that point. I started running in university when I couldn't control my mind, my thoughts. And I just started running 5Ks. I liked how it made me feel. I felt like I was in control again, so I pushed it and I went 10, then 20, then 30. And once I recognized the pattern where my life outside of the physical training realm started to improve, the more I pushed the physical realm, I then scaled it up even further and I went bigger. I did half Ironman, I did a 60-kilometer ultra, then an 85-kilometer ultra, and then I built up to the 100-miler, which was 163 kilometers. Now, I'm not saying you need to run 100 miles, I'm saying you need to push just outside of your comfort zone relative to where you are right now. There's no second guessing with these type of things. It's black and white, it's very binary. I said I couldn't do it. I bought a ticket and I did it. What else have I been lying to myself about? What other limits have I been placing on my abilities, on my potential? See, when you're successful and you complete these challenges, you come out of it with a completely different perception on everything. I didn't always have the self-belief and confidence that I do now. I started at the fucking bottom of the barrel. I didn't believe in myself at all. I had no evidence to believe in myself. But the identity that I have now has been built from years of that constant pursuit of expansion. Every time I broke a limit, I went again. I went bigger, I went harder. Pause, bigger and harder, more challenging. Over time, that capped thinking disappears. Now when I think about the brand and the business that I'm building, my financial aspirations, the type of man I'm becoming, the kind of life that I can provide for my future wife and kids, it's completely limitless. And that's not from ego. I've earned that perspective. When I was using the whiteboard to illustrate the comfort zone, and I finished on a lifetime of not pushing it leads to small thinking, flip that now. If you pursued growth, if you expanded that comfort zone over a lifetime of decisions, how much different would your life look? When the imaginary ceiling just continually pushes out and out and out, you will become more ambitious by nature and you will actually believe that you can achieve it as well. It's not just imaginary belief, you actually become convictional. You dream bigger than ever before, but you're more self-assured than you've ever been before as well. It works in perfect harmony. If extreme physical challenge is the thing to expand the comfort zone, discipline is the thing that stops it collapsing. And the most reliable form of discipline is a fitness-driven lifestyle. The breakthrough and the expansion that you're creating only sticks and becomes permanent if your daily actions match the man you're trying to become and reinforces the identity. And that's why you've got to get in the best fucking shape of your life. It's not for aesthetics. It's to look at the man in the mirror and know that behind the eyes, under the surface, he sticks to his fucking word and he upholds standards across the board even when nobody's looking, because you will trust that man. That's the only way to turn all of this ambition into real life. Anyone can dream big. Not everybody actually believes it. I hear people tell me about the goals they've got and I just look at them and I'm like, there's absolutely zero chance. Not that the physique dictates whether that's going to be successful or not, but it's how you operate. I know you won't do that. If you can't control what goes in your mouth, if you can't fucking train, mate, there's no chance. Left to their own devices, comfort zones shrink. The identity that got you the expansion needs to be upheld through fitness to ensure you don't revert back to the old you. Now, at the time of filming this video, I have no events planned, nothing in the pipeline. It's been about a year and a half since I did the 100 miler. My focus right now is providing the best coaching service that I can and scaling my business. At some point, I'm gonna return. I'm gonna push that boundary again because this process I've described is just way too valuable. It's what's led me to this point now. I wouldn't be here if I didn't live the way that I've lived. And I don't know what I'll do, but it won't be small. It will be something ridiculous. And I will come out of it with even more growth than I've had from all the other ones. That is just the way it works. If you've watched any of my other YouTube videos, you know that I always end the video by saying road to 1 million subscribers. I've got 139 subscribers right now. This is limitless thinking. I mean that statement. I will have 1 million subscribers. It doesn't matter how long it takes. That's the lens and the state of consciousness that you should be operating from. You don't need to run 100 miles. You don't need to pursue 1 million subscribers like I am. But you do need to stop operating from a place that sees limits in everything that you do. Life is open format, guys. What you get out of this experience is completely dependent on how you use your mind and your time. Earn the right to think limitless.